10 meters shy and like 10 meters or 5 meters to the right or something of that nature. So I just sent another one. He's 5 meters right in front of him. All right, send another one. And he looks at me, he goes, I think you got him. You know, they say your first platoon, you know, dictates how the rest of your career is going to go, or your lens on the rest of your career. And I had a hell of a first platoon. Yeah, I went back to the Team 8, did a deployment there, and then went to Team 4. Then he popped up, and he was about 400 yards away from another hide, and looked right at him and
dropped him.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Reload and end up going to Uganda. Right before we got there, they lost a couple guys, ambushed them, hammered them all.
That AO, like, did they say, here's what we're here to accomplish?
I'm sure they did.
Yeah. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, did I listen? Absolutely not.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, it's both an honor and a pleasure to welcome my next guest to the podcast. He spent 20 years on active duty in the U.S. Navy, most of which with the SEAL teams. He did 7 deployments at SEAL Team 8 and a deployment at SEAL Team 4. He's been to Iraq, Afghanistan, and Somalia, as well as South America, which we're going to get into balls deep on all of that. He's the CEO and co-owner of a company called Outsider, which we're also going to talk about, which is a company with outdoor lifestyle products that encourage outdoor activities of any kind. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Sam Mackey.
Thanks for having me, Mike. I really appreciate it.
People fuck that last name up, don't they? Or is it just me?
I mean, it's a difficult one,
yeah.
You know?
It's really not.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the last full book that you read?
Babylon, or Richest Man in Babylon.
Oh, okay.
Is that the name of it?
That I don't know. I'm not familiar with it. What's the gist of it?
Essentially, it is there's a wealthy man in Babylon, and it's how to be a good steward of money and investing.
Oh, okay.
And gold coins and passing them on. For example, hey, I give you 5 good gold coins. What do you do with those gold coins? What's this guy do? That's the, I guess, overall premise of the story. But it's more of a wealth management / entrepreneurship book on wealth.
Does it spend much time talking about like the history of money, or any time?
No, not that I remember.
Right.
They use other forms of currency, of course.
Yeah.
Besides gold coins, real estate, rocks, so on and so forth.
Yeah. The one of the things that, this is totally unrelated, but in the rabbit holes that exist on the internet, I came across gold coins from different eras of the Roman Empire, reflecting, what was on it basically reflected the time period. And you can buy struck gold coins from Caesar's fucking time, from Marcus Aurelius's time, which to me is fucking pretty fascinating.
What's that cost a guy?
It depends. Like, obviously the quality, like the closer it is, they grade it like from 0 to 5. 0 obviously being the lowest on strike and surface quality, basically. And so obviously the higher the quality. I mean, some of them, I think the most expensive ones that I've seen are in the high 20s or low 30s, thousands of dollars. A lot of the silver coins you can get for a couple $100, which to me, again, is pretty fascinating that you can get silver coins from Julius Caesar's reign for $300 or $400. But the gold ones are, even the cheapest ones are usually a few $1,000s. But to me, it would be cool. I was thinking of actually, not that I'm going to spend that amount of money on, because they're actually pretty fucking small. Yeah. Like they're
like the size of a dime.
Yeah, I mean between a dime and a quarter. I mean they're about half the size of a quarter, so a little bigger than a dime. But and again, the size changes a little bit. I know in one of the eras, I want to say I think it was Caesar's era. He's got it's called a double. I think it's called a double states something disaster piece. I don't know. I'm fucking it up, I'm sure, but it was basically twice the size of all the other coins, and he would reserve and give those to his kind of most valuable generals and soldiers as kind of a status thing, you know, which, I mean, we kind of do that now with coins, which is weird, but Yeah, just again, to me, I was just like, holy shit, I would have thought that there'd be so few of those around that they'd all be in museums and whatever. But
I thought the same thing. And for the silver ones, $300 or $400.
Dude,
I mean,
yeah.
I almost wish you didn't tell me that.
Yeah,
Now I feel like I need to have one.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty fucking cool. To me, that, you know, the Marcus Aurelius, I think it would be fucking pretty cool to have a coin from his time frame. But Meditations is one of my favorite books for sure. But anyway, do you have a favorite quote?
I would say it's a Ronald Reagan quote, and I don't want to butcher it, but it goes something of
Is it the democracy one?
along this line. Yeah. It
Democracy is only one
generation away from extinction. It's not passed on in the bloodline. It must be fought for and defended. So, or we're going to spend our sunset years telling our children and our grandchildren what it was once like in America when it was free.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, no, it's a damn good one. If time travel were a thing, where would you go? Or when would you go?
I'd spend the first 6 months just going forward and back, probably a week or two, and till I got banned from all the casinos and all the lottery games, make my wealth, and then go forward and again find the cure for cancer or anything that's going to extend the life of my family and my kids, so I can ensure they're happy and healthy, and bring that back. And other than that, I'd probably just let it be and live in the moment.
Yeah, I like it. That's probably the most unique answer. Most people pick something going back, you know, because they want to experience, you know, Jesus or, you know, the revolutionary, whatever. But no, that's an interesting take. What is your spirit animal?
Maybe a hybrid between an elephant and a lion.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
An lion? The fuck would you call that? A elephant? Hey guys, I know some people bitch about the ads. You don't like them. So we're offering for $5 a month early and ad-free episodes of the Mic Drop Show, also including some bonus footage that's not in the episode that's published on YouTube or any of the audio channels of the guests and I either dicking around in the studio or continuing the conversation of stuff that kind of is required to be behind a paywall, etc. So go on Patreon for Mic Drop, $5 a month, early episodes, ad-free, and bonus footage. What are the two key components for canine success? That's effective training and proper nutrition. Fueled by Team Dog brings those two components to your family and best friend. The perfect nutritional balance that results in a higher mental acuity, energy, overall vitality, and even an improved appearance. Every product you will find in my company's store was born from the battlefield and not from the boardroom. Let my life's work help you become your dog's hero. What's the in terms of the elephant draw? Where does that come from?
You know, I love hunting, and I'd love to get the Africa Big Five, and I think the elephant is like the pinnacle of the Big Five, and I think they're awesome animals, and I'm super intrigued by lions. So that's where those two things.
So you would hunt all 5 of those?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. What's the draw for that?
I don't know. They're just so cool. I don't know. Have you been to Africa hunting on a safari or anything like that?
I haven't.
Just seeing these animals in the wild and feeling the wildness of your surroundings is addicting. It's super cool. I could go over there and never shoot another animal again. I just like being over there, but I do like hunting, right? And I look at hunting, and when I harvest an animal, I'm cherishing that animal forever. I put it on my wall, and hopefully my kids keep my mounts, you know, later on, or whoever, you know, wants them after I'm gone. But I cherish that animal forever. I think it's the coolest thing to be able to look around and look at these animals and check them out on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own. For me, it's not my cup of tea, but I mean, I'm a big fan of letting people do what the fuck they want to.
Likewise.
What's your normal AM routine? What time do you get up in the first 2 or 3 hours?
So I wake up somewhere in between, I would say 5:50 and 7:15, depending on the kids, and make a cup of coffee. If the kids are still sleeping, typically my wife and I will work for an hour or so before they wake up. And
Does she help you with what you do? Or?
No, she owns her own company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And So we sit on our computers, drink coffee, and just enjoy the quietness in the house until the mayhem unleashes, and then the kids come down, and then it's just the morning routine: lunches, snacks, dress, some homework, or prepping for a spelling test with one of the kids or something of that nature, and then get them out the door. And then once they're out the door, it's around 8:10 when they're all gone. Then it's get back to work until noon, and then typically we like to work out on our lunch break.
Oh, okay. Where do you live?
Nashville,
Or
just south in a town called Franklin.
Oh, okay. Not far from Sean, right?
Correct. I don't know him personally. I've seen him on the street a handful of times.
Oh, shit.
But
Sweep the leg next time and say it's from me.
Well, he had his kids. I had my kids, and so I didn't even. We both had a lot of shit going on, chasing kids down the street. So
I'm tracking. How many kids do you have?
Me?
Yeah.
3.
3. And what ages?
3, 5, and 7.
Man, that is a fucking handful. You were right in the thick of it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Where are you originally from?
Mainly Northern California. My dad was in the military, but he had a little break in service where he went from active duty to reserves, I believe. And during that time is when I was born, on a small farmhouse in the middle of Illinois, in central Illinois, and then lived there till the kindergarten or first grade, and then moved to Scott Air Force Base. My dad got commissioned and lived there, and that's in St. Louis. Lived there for 2 years, and then went to Northern California. My dad was stationed in Alameda, so we lived in Novato because Alameda's in Oakland, so we didn't want to live there, right? And lived there until my junior year of high school. So that's where I did most of my growing up.
Yeah. Siblings?
Yes, I have an older sister and an older brother.
Okay. So bouncing around like that, obviously that's all you have to compare it to, right? Which is kind of the opposite of the way I grew up, which was in the same bedroom my entire childhood. Went to the same elementary, junior high, high school that all my older and younger siblings went to. Went to the same high school that my parents went to. I mean, very opposite of that. But again, not having anything to compare that to, what was kind of the takeaway from being that mobile during your childhood? Or I guess I would say, sorry, not to interrupt, but did you feel that it impacted you one way or another doing that? Like
at the time, I thought it did when we moved because I'm losing friends. I have to meet new friends. But shit, you know how kids are. You see a group of kids playing outside, and everyone's friends. They don't even know each other's name in 10 minutes. So, in looking back, when I was in the first grade and third grade moving, I thought it was pretty traumatic, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was good for me for sure.
Yeah. Any big ticket events happened during your childhood that were super impactful?
I would say nothing as a young child, but when I was a teenager, I got in quite a bit of trouble, and then that led to me joining the Navy.
Yeah. So was that the biggest factor, or was there a motivation to serve based on dad? Or
no, there was definitely a motivation to serve, and that came from the movie Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
And my brother was in the Army, but that didn't happen until I think he joined in '99.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I was obsessed with the movie Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah. It's hard not to be, for sure.
I mean, it is probably the most realistic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a classic.
Well-written movie ever.
Yeah. It's fucking classic, no doubt about it. Did you play any sports growing up?
I boxed my whole life.
Really?
Yeah, I played football 1 year.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just boxed my whole life.
What age did you start?
I started in the 4th grade.
Really? Mm-hmm. Was there a defining moment, or was it just like, I'm going to try boxing?
There was a boxing. We moved from St. Louis to Northern California, and there happened to be a boxing gym. It was less than a mile from my house, and I was riding my bike, and I saw a sign out front, so I just walked in.
Yeah.
And then started doing that every day after
shit.
school. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Did you compete?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Any accolades?
I went to the Junior Olympics my freshman year of high school.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever get in a fight and use it in high school? Is that some of the trouble you got in?
I mean, I got quite a bit of fights in high school, but I never got in trouble.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been in a metric shit ton of bar fights. I've never been arrested for fighting. So
Really?
yeah.
Do you rely solely on boxing when you get in a street fight?
Correct. Yeah, I always throw the first punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to,
no hesitation.
especially nowadays, like everyone's doing jujitsu. I don't know anything. I'm a shitty wrestler. So I just try to throw the first punch and not get taken down by somebody and choked out.
Yeah, no shit. So what, I guess in that vein, I'm going to delve off topic here for a second or go off on a tangent. I know that there's a million intangibles that dictate kind of when you hit somebody, how you do it, et cetera, but do you have a general approach in those environments?
I try to not talk shit, not get excited, and I try to de-escalate as much as I can. But then everyone knows when there's a point, and I'm not willing to get into a shoving match or anything like that just because what I've just stated. You never know who this person is. I could shove them, they grab my arm, twist me around, and I'm on the ground. I know nothing about wrestling, and I want to get my ass handed to me and be embarrassed. Not that I haven't been beat up before. But once I feel like it's reached that level or something that's just a hard line for me, like if someone spits on me, I'm fighting you, right?
Yeah.
If a hard line happens, then I fight, or if I think it's going to happen, or I'm not going to wait and have it be on someone else's terms. Like, oh, let's go outside or let's go over here or whatever. I'm just going to do it on my terms, and typically it's just right there. Then leave immediately.
Do you have in all of the fights, if you were to break it down percentage-wise, the first punch, is it a jab or are you haymakering somebody?
Right hand as hard as I can.
Just overhand, right?
Yeah.
Fucking everything you got. Have you ever run into somebody that was also at least a decent boxer that gave you a run in the street?
Yeah, and I went against my gut and like, hey, let's go outside, and or maybe some older guys told us to go outside. I can't remember, and go outside, and he comes at me and tackles me, and then he's on top of me and throws sand in my eyes. It was in Fallon, Nevada, and then I couldn't see anything. Then he just banked on me a couple times, and he's like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can't see anything," and then that was the time I said beat up the worst.
Yeah.
But he was a fighter. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. I guess any other instances where somebody was a handful unexpectedly, or anybody even got a shot in, or have you been pretty successful that way?
I've been pretty successful in a big bar fight. I got hemmed up from behind, and I felt a guy's hip go on my back, and he had his arm around me. I'm like, oh shit. And I looked right at my buddy at the perfect timing, and he went and choked this guy out.
Is this a team?
Yeah. Matt Foreman?
Matt Foreman, I don't.
He helped me out.
Yeah. What was the circumstances of the bar fight?
So we're, of course, minding our own business, right? And it's me, Matt, and this guy named Joel. And I don't know if anybody else was there, but those are the three of us.
Where were you?
I remember. And Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Okay, yeah.
And old Fort Fun.
Yeah.
And my buddy was wearing an Orioles hat. And this guy, group of guys behind us, one of them came up, and he stood right behind Matt and started talking shit on the Orioles. And, Matt was my superior. I always looked up to him. So it's kind of like, hey, what are you doing talking to him like that? Like, you can't talk to my buddy like that, and let alone my boss. And then he goes on his merry way. Like, all right, that was weird. Then fast forward about an hour or so, he walks over and does the same thing, but it's a little bit more hostile. And I look at Matt, and I just give him a nod, and he tries to tell me no, and I just lit this guy up right over his shoulder. Then all these guys come over, and it's a pretty good brawl. And I don't know how, but someone got behind me and put me in a chokehold, and I feel their hip go on my back, like I mentioned, and my feet start to come up. I'm like, shit. And I'm reaching back, but I look at my buddy Matt, and he goes around. I think he choked this guy out really fast, and helped me out a lot. But then I get fish hooked, and I didn't even look who's behind me. And I turn around and I just hit the first person I see, and it happened to be this bouncer. He was off duty though, and we frequented this establishment often, so I knew everybody, and I knocked him out cold. I'm like, oh shit, and that kind of ended everything because he's a very large human being, probably like 6'6", 330, like a huge dude. And then the owner came down like, hey, sorry, and told him what happened, and this big guy wakes up and sits on the stage and starts bawling profusely. And I'm trying to apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry, man, you fish hooked me. Like that hurt really bad. And I didn't even look to see who it was. I just turned around and let one fly. And so that was a interesting story. It was a fun night. But if you ask my buddy, the guy I hit was probably like 5'2" and 130 pounds, and I got choked out by a chick.
The big fish story.
Yeah.
What when you were competitively boxing, what's the heaviest you fought at competitively?
172, I think.
Okay. Man, that's wild. All right. So going back a few steps, I guess, kind of wove all the way through some of your career, but you end up deciding, okay, I've gotten in trouble. Was most of the trouble fighting, or was it a bunch of other stuff?
I got wrapped up in selling weed.
Yeah.
So
in Northern California?
Yeah. Now everything's completely legal.
Yeah. But so that was a big part of the catalyst for joining. Correct.
Yeah. It was, went to juvenile hall for about a week and then did 6.5 months on house arrest while the trial went on, and ended up being on probation for 2 years. I lost my license, and the probation I was on is called deferred entry and judgment probation. So if I got in trouble while I was on probation, then I would possibly, what they would switch it over to, and I'd be in trouble as an adult. So I didn't want to go to jail or prison. So I just kept my nose clean for as long as I could, and then found out if I joined the Navy, they would end my probation and everything like that. So that accelerated the process.
And so I guess Navy-wise, that didn't impact.
No. So they had all sorts of waivers back then to join the teams in the Navy. My father helped me out a lot. At the time, my dad was a 06, and I don't know what happened behind the scenes with the recruiter, but I know they would talk often and just like, hey, Sam, I'll be right back, or go wait outside. I don't know what, he helped me with there, but at all. But I know he probably was influential in some way.
No doubt. What year did you join?
04.
All right. So you come in, it's kind of right at the height of Iraq, Afghanistan, was hit and miss the whole fucking time, really. But so you go through, you're in buds, you end up getting dropped, right?
Yep. First time. I got rolled after Hell Week, so I was in brown shirt rollback land, and because I had a performance roll because I failed runs. I failed a run after Hell Week, and I failed one before.
So what year were you in rollback land?
04.
Okay. So right away, huh? So you went right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to boot camp, A school, and then buds.
Yeah.
So I think I was in rollback land by the end of the summer because I went to boot camp in January.
Okay. So I was not one of your brown shirt guys then, right? I was probably on convalescent.
I remember a gentleman, Simon and Rideau, took over after Master Chief Will Banks retired.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I was there right after that.
Okay. As an instructor?
Yeah.
Okay.
As a brown shirt instructor. But I started out in NDOC for a little while and then ended up in brown shirt land for most of the time. But
Bobby Holland was our NDOC proctor.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Man, that's wild. All right. So you get rolled after Hell Week for runs, and then you make it to second phase. And
so I got rolled for runs, but I had a stress fracture in my foot. So the Master Chief that was running the program was like, hey, we'll give you a 2-class roll. No drama. Then he retired. The new guys came in. They said, just looked at the paper and said, hey, you have a performance roll, not a med roll. You're classing up. I classed up, failed that run, and then I think everyone kind of saw what happened. Like, oh, well, he's been on crutches and hadn't ran or anything like that. So they let me go one more week, and that was turnover day of second phase. And I remember having a blue. I remember painting my helmet blue. So I think it was the first day of second phase. I believe it was. I failed that run and then got dropped.
Yeah, man. So they just fucking dropped you.
Yeah, like a bad habit.
Man, that's rough. So you go to the fleet. How long were you in the fleet?
About a year and a half.
Yeah. What were you doing that year and a half?
I was a master at arms in Sigonella, Italy.
How was that?
Every day was the worst day of my
Really?
life.
Fucking terrible.
Yeah. I mean, Sigonella, Italy was great. You know, being in Italy was great. I met, you know, one of my best friends who's also a team guy now. And so we had some fun experiences, but there's just nothing about me that's a cop.
Yeah.
I just was not a good gate guard, and I didn't like it. And every day was the worst day of my life.
Yeah, man, that's rough. Obviously, you made it back.
Yeah.
What class did you go through with?
266.
Okay. All right, so you go through again, and you made it straight through?
Correct.
Yeah. I think I may have, in fact, I was still there at the time, I think, but if you didn't get rolled, you wouldn't have seen me, so. But if you guys are anything like me, you know, trouble sleeping can be something that, you know, affects how well the next day is and how productive you are. If you are having trouble sleeping, I've been working with this company called Dream. And if poor sleep is negatively impacting your life, I encourage you to check them out. It's Beam's Dream Powder. It's a science-backed hot cocoa for sleep. And if you know anything about me and the things that I talk about on this show, you know that sleep is a huge thing, and Dream has been a game changer. You know, one of the biggest components to the sleep regimen and the morning routine that I have is incorporating this Beam Dream Powder, which this hot cocoa is phenomenal. Today, the listeners get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder. It's a science-backed hot cocoa for sleep with no added sugar. Better sleep has never tasted better. It's one of my favorite things to wind the day down with. They've got chocolate, peanut butter, cinnamon, cocoa. There's 15 calories, no sugar. It's high quality efficacy and formulated to ease your body into rest, support all 4 stages of the sleep cycle, and help you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. A lot of other sleep aids have next day grogginess Dream. It's got an all natural blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigen, and melatonin to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. It's easy to add to the nighttime routine. Just mix the powder into hot water or milk, froth it, and enjoy before you go to bed. If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, get up to 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/micdrop and use the code micdrop at checkout. That's Beam, BEAM.com/micdrop and use the code micdrop for up to 40% off. Man, it's a small world. All right, so you make it straight through and you go right to SEAL Team 8?
Correct.
Yeah, and tell me about that, because you spent a lot of time there and did 7 deployments, right?
Yeah, I did 5 and then, or 5 with them right away, or 6 with them right away, and then went to trade it.
Okay.
So, and then eventually went back to 8.
Yeah. So you're there in 06, 07?
I showed up in 08.
08, okay.
Yep.
What was team life like and your deployments like? You know, for the sake of time, we won't go through each individual one in its entirety, but if you can kind of Reader's Digest version-wise, hit the highlights of your time showing up there and all of the deployments.
Yeah, it was glorious. I showed up and it was a perfect atmosphere. It was everything I expected. The older guys are harsh. It was a cutthroat mentality and no bullshit. And the older guys were, you know, everyone's already been to war already, you know, and great mentors, great people. So I love the atmosphere. And, you know, they say your first platoon, you know, dictates how the rest of your career is going to go, or your lens on the rest of your career. And I had a hell of a first platoon. It was awesome. The group of guys were outstanding. The majority of us are still friends to this day.
Yeah.
So I really liked the atmosphere right away.
Yeah.
And then showed up and went right on deployment, did a Yukon pump, or their team was already on deployment. So I joined them and then the last like 80 or 90 days with them. And that was good, getting to know all the older guys and before everyone else. I think me and maybe 1 or 2 other guys went over there. And then came back. And I was still a new guy, of course. Came back and was fortunate enough to go to comm school, followed by sniper school as a new guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Taking one step back, it was a Europe deployment. Were you in Germany?
Correct. And then we went to Romania and because that was when Russia invaded Georgia, and there was some tension there. So we went out to Romania and did some VBSS training stuff in the Black Sea, and just kind of posturing.
Yeah, all training on that deployment. Yeah. So you come back, you get comm school, you get sniper school. You made it through sniper school in first one shot.
It's more stressful than combat.
Yeah.
I mean, as a new guy, I just didn't want to fuck that up at all.
Yeah. Well, it's such a coveted and rare billet, you know, especially to get as a new guy. But that's impressive. I mean, because not having a lot of time in the teams, you know, because shooting is one of those things that takes a while to develop, especially at that level. Did you shoot at all growing up? Did your dad do much with you?
Yeah, we did a fair amount. You know, I got a BB gun when I was a real little kid. And, of course, my older brother, he's like 5 years older than me. He would get a BB gun, and I'd just use his all the time. So I got, you know, everything at a younger age, which I guess looking through his lens isn't that fair, but it worked out for me.
Yeah.
So we were shooting all day, every day as young kids. And then as far as long guns, as a young man, I didn't shoot many long guns besides 22s. Got into duck hunting in maybe the 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah.
So I started duck hunting quite a bit. But shooting long guns as a kid or growing up, you know, I didn't do a lot of that.
Yeah. So most of your marksmanship training was in the Navy.
Correct.
Most of it. What was from your perspective, looking back on it, the hardest or most stressful part of sniper school?
Stalking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because I'm not a small human being, and I remember my wife. We were just dating at the time, but I thought it'd be a good idea to fly her out to Atterbury and just get a hotel room for a night. I think it was Valentine's Day, actually. But we spend the whole night making my ghillie suit.
That's romantic.
In a hotel room.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. Stalking was the hardest part for me.
Yeah. Did you have any close calls in terms of failing? Like, did you almost?
Yeah, I was on the bubble for stalks. I failed a stalk. I don't know how many you can fail or anything like that, but I failed. I know I failed one. I failed the first one that was in Fort Story in Virginia Beach, because the East and the West Coast, you know, they do, at the time you did pick and scout. You did pick. We did it on the East Coast. They did it on the West Coast.
The photo intel.
Correct. Yeah. And then you do half a scout, and then you converge in Atterbury. Yeah. So I failed the first stock, but I didn't know it was a graded evolution. I thought it was a practice stock, you know, but regardless of fail, it doesn't matter. And so I think that put me on the bubble. I think you can only fail 2. Yeah. So I failed the first one, so I was on the bubble for the next 4. Yeah. So it was just stressful.
How many are there?
I said 4 as a guess.
Yeah.
I know there's 4 or 5, I think, maybe.
Yeah. So not that, I mean, I guess I was expecting there to be like one every day.
No. I mean, there could be a lot more than 4. I could be completely wrong. But I feel like we had one a week, maybe, once we got in there.
I gotcha. And so from your perspective, the sniper school is more stressful than anything you did in combat?
I would say so. Maybe there's the time and the place and the aura around it, you know, and how coveted it is that made it stressful. Yeah. And then one of my older guys, you know, he didn't make it through, and so that added some pressure, you know, for me for sure. And I just really didn't want to make an ass of myself, and wanted to make my older guys proud. Yeah. You know?
All right. So you come back from sniper. What's the next deployment?
That'd be Iraq.
And how did that go?
It went well. At the time, my platoon or my troop was split between Iraq and Afghanistan, and so my sister platoon went to Afghanistan. We went to Iraq, and we went to Ramadi. We went to Fallujah, and to meet up with Team 3, and then Team 3 said something. It's something to the effect. Granted, I'm a meat stick, so I'm not privy to what's going on up top. But like, hey, we don't need your guys' help here. So we lifted and shifted the next couple days to Baghdad to do the TF South mission with one troop, which was a blessing in disguise for sure. Yeah, because since I wasn't in one troop, each platoon in one troop, they had a mission set. I think it was like AQI, then I forget the other one. And I would double dip I'd go clean vehicles. I would do absolutely anything to help out, and then try to get on the task org. So I might go out with this platoon one night and this platoon the next night. So I was very fortunate.
And what can you say who you were working with? And you mentioned trying to get on what?
Oh, on the task org. So sorry, just on the load plan, just out on the op.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
But was it just you guys, or you were working with another unit?
Delta. I think Delta was the parent command there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were going out, and you guys were doing supportive, like blocking force stuff, or
no? We were running our own mission sets. I remember one time we did blocking force stuff for them. I'm sure it happened other times that I wasn't on the op.
Yeah.
But mainly we were running our own lines of effort.
Yeah. And what was the kind of the overarching goal when you were in that AO? Like, did they say, here's what we're here to accomplish?
I'm sure they did.
Yeah. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, did I fucking listen? Absolutely not. I had my own goals and own missions, to get on every op I possibly could and try to get in a gunfight.
Yeah. Did that happen a lot?
The gunfights?
Yeah.
We got in a handful of them.
Yeah.
Nothing, absolutely crazy by any means. I know there was a good one night that I wasn't there. My sister platoon went out, or one of the platoons went out, and they did quite a bit of work that night.
Yeah.
And it was a very, kinetic night. It was actually right after, like a week or two after, I remember Obama made a State of the Union saying, hey, all combat operations are going to cease in Iraq, and we're going from Operation Iraqi Freedom to Operation New Dawn. So morale was in the dumps because we thought we were going to sit there for the last 3 months and do nothing. But then, lo and behold, that was not true.
Yeah.
And about a week after that or so, one of the platoons went out and had a very kinetic night.
Yeah.
I'd say probably the most kinetic one of the deployment.
Yeah. What were the types of missions that you guys were going out? Were there a bunch of different ones, or was there?
It was mainly, we had one VI, maybe two VIs. I was not on either one of those, but it was mainly DAs.
Yeah. So that's VI is vehicle interdiction, DA is direct assault for you guys listening. And in case you didn't know, in all of those scenarios, or in any of the ops that you went on, was there one that stands out as being the most memorable?
I'd say either my first one, anticlimactic, nothing happened, walked out of the back of the striker, there was a call out going on already, or automatically went into a call out. And so that one, it was cool because it was my first one, outside the wire, stepping foot in Iraq. That was super cool, right?
Yeah.
And then another one is when the first time I shot somebody, or I'd say got shot at,
Yeah.
So that was pretty significant, and I thought it was super cool. I was climbing up the ladder.
Can you walk us through like the entire, from when you're getting ready all the way through that one?
Sure. I don't remember getting ready for that one because they all blend together, and it was a long time ago. But our routine was we'd go in for the daily update brief, and if we had a target that night, then we'd start planning. And then after we did all our briefs, then we'd go in the ready room and, crank music, hammer rippets and Copenhagen and get ready, right? And
what music did you listen to?
I think that was a solid mix in between like Pantera and or country music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But then, I don't remember music back from 2010. I'm sure there was some pop music or something just outrageously,
lame,
flamboyant.
Yeah.
They got pumped around with a bunch of dudes getting their kit on.
Yeah.
So then after you get your shit on, then check all the vehicles, do comm checks, and then once if you're rolling in vehicles or helos, but all that was, just standard operating procedure, having the same every time. And then we'd roll out. I think we'd do test fire as soon as we got outside the gate, in Iraq, or like right there inside or outside the wire. And then test fires for the heavy guns on top. And then we'd roll out. And typically we'd roll out, get to VDO, which is our vehicle drop-off point, and everyone would dismount. and then Recce would go out and get a head start. I ran with Recce the majority of the time.
Just being a sniper.
Yes, and I just kind of worked my way into, because once again, this is not my troop or my platoons. I just worked my way in there, But I was more than happy to gun, drive. I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to be on every op.
Yeah.
And or every op that I could. And so that night we rolled out, and I believe we were going after an IED maker, and his house possibly could have been rigged to blow. But we weren't too concerned with it. At least I remember not being that concerned with it. And we get behind the house, climb the building next door, and 2 guys climb that and lay down a bridging ladder, then bridge over to the target building. And I'm once they bridge over, then it's my time to go up the ladder. And I'm like halfway up the ladder, and I start hearing AK fire from the house or the courtyard. And the only thing I could think, the only thing that went through my head is fucking finally, I don't know how many ops I've been on before that, but I was just waiting. Like, is someone going to shoot at us, right?
Which is a weird thing to hope for in the grand scheme.
I suppose so. Yeah. But
I mean, I'm not saying I don't get it, but if you think about it in the broad spectrum of humanity, it's like that's a weird thing to be grateful for.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the game, And so finally, someone wanted to, get a little Western with us. Started shooting rounds up at the guys on the target building, and I just I climbed the ladder as fast as I could, ran to the front side of the building next door, and saw the gentleman there on the other side of a car in the courtyard.
Gentleman.
Or
shit bag.
Yeah, dirt bag.
It's like a police chief fucking debriefing the press. So this gentleman approached the vehicle with a pistol out, and go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. So
I don't know why I said that.
So this fucking dirt bag is on the other side of a car.
Yeah.
And shooting at you.
No, he didn't see me.
Oh, I got you.
He was looking up at the guys on the rooftop. That was his house, right? And the rooftop was only maybe 8 foot tall. It was a smaller building. And then I shot him. And then after I shot him, he was walling around. And I couldn't see him underneath the car. So I bridged over to the target building and looked down. And I saw him laying there. But he wasn't dead. He was not doing well. And then the assault force came in. And when the assault force came in, the Terp takes off running away. But luckily, the guy that was running the assault force is absolutely awesome, didn't hesitate, and came right in. Then we got a verbal real quick, hey, courtyard's clear, come on in. And so then they prosecuted the rest of the house. And everything on that target went well. Well, the Terp took off running because the guy was doing his little death prayer, and he thought the guy was about to clock himself off or clock the house off. So that's why the Terp ran. None of that ended up happening.
So the guy that you shot knew he was going to die and was doing a death prayer?
I assume so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why the Terp said he ran.
Oh, I got you. What was he carrying?
An AK.
And do you know where you got him?
Yeah, I shot him 3 times right in the heart.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. With an M4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With green tip. So there's a story in itself there, which I always catch a lot of shit for this one. He didn't expire on target. So then we had a flex target, and we had to bring him with us, and then had to medevac him out. Well, I don't know whatever happened to the guy. I assume with, how outstanding the medical system is in Iraq, he is living a long, happy life right now.
Yeah.
But this gentleman.
Yes.
And
this distinguished gentleman. Dude, that's crazy. 3 times in the heart. I mean, we had a similar scenario. One guy, we had half our fucking platoon dump. There was probably better part of 20 rounds into his torso. And the fucking guy kept going.
Really?
Yeah. It was right outside of Tikrit. Our platoon was in like a lazy L.
Mm-hmm.
And one half of the platoon, 8 dudes, fucking engaged this guy that was probably 20, 25 yards away and, took multiple shots. I'm assuming not every single round, but a bunch of them did. I mean, more than a handful. And because when we found him afterwards, he died not long after, but he took off running and we found him probably 60 or 70 yards from where he was shot, So if he had an RPG or a vest or whatever, he still could have done quite a bit, even after being shot that many times. Not coincidentally, every single round was green tip, but...
Well, I did not know this at the time, and I think I found out later on deployment or after we got back from deployment, someone from the talk, another team guy, went to the hospital and got the x-rays and used it as a training device to segue people away from or deter people away from green tip unless you really need it. Then just shoot 77 grain.
Yeah. I agree. I think like the buffalo boar, I don't think they technically call them hollow tips or it's basically a hollow tip, or hollow point, but those are great rounds. You know, I don't get the whole green tip thing. I mean, how often are you really needing to punch through shit that a regular 77 grain isn't going to go through anyway?
I mean, I never had to do it, but the first thought that comes to mind would be the guys, 2016, 17 in Iraq, the West Coast cats that were getting attacked by those Mad Max up armored vehicles. Okay, then it makes sense. Did it make sense at the time for what we were doing? No, I never carried it again.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the situations that you're going to run into needing it are way, way fewer than when it's actually a disadvantage.
Correct.
But, all right, so successful mission there. Were there other guys inside the building that got shot?
No.
Just that one guy in the courtyard?
Correct.
Yeah. So did you find the bomb maker?
He was.
In there?
I believe so. He was the guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That you shot?
Yeah.
No shit?
Yeah.
Fucking A, man. That's cool.
I can't say for 100% certain, but that was the target building. That was the guy.
Yeah. Wow. Fuck, that's cool. So the rest of that deployment, any other good ops?
Yeah, there was one of the VIs. Like I said, I wasn't on this one, but it was a super sexy VI just to watch from the talk. And then another one would be we were going to a target, and whoever was working, we were in strikers. So, and whoever was working the gunning system, the gunner system, it was like what do they call it, like the RWS, I believe. Saw something in the road, and EOD guy, it was a wild man, super cool guy. Went out there, and you see him, everybody's watching out, and he just crawls up on his hands and knees, and he gets down in the culvert and comes back and gets in the back of the striker, goes, "All right, I think we're good." And like, what do you mean, Chef? He's like, "Yeah, just open your mouth and cup your bowls." So that was a very interesting 40-yard drive.
Yeah, no shit.
Nothing happened, and but I remember that distinctly.
Yeah,
like, holy shit, are we just gonna really? Are we really doing this?
Yeah, some dicey shit. Did you guys have any dogs with you?
Yes, we did. Our dog guy was from I think at the time, I think we had organic or not organic dog guys. There was a kennel, and a dog guy would come and deploy with you.
Yeah,
is that correct?
Yeah,
yeah. We had a dog guy attached to us. Yeah.
Do you remember who the dog was or who the handler was, without saying his full name?
No.
Don't remember the dog's name.
No.
Did they do anything cool?
Yeah. I think the dog got on a good handful of bites.
Oh shit.
One time there was a guy hiding under the cupboard or under the sink, and we had the dog cams, so the dog went in and found him under the sink, and with his nose hit that door enough to have it start bouncing back and forth, and got his snout in there and got the guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
I'm afraid of dogs.
Oh, really?
I stay the fuck away from them.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
They're capable for sure. I just got fucking bit by one of the retired ones a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, they're very capable for sure.
Hearing those nails come down like a tile floor behind you.
Yeah. Yeah, no shit.
I'm like, man, just keep running. Don't bite me.
Yeah, no shit. Were you on that op?
Yes.
No shit.
Yeah.
Do you remember seeing the bite afterwards, or did you?
No, I don't.
Yeah. Some of those are fascinating, kind of similar to ballistics, like the difference almost like the after action of live bites is pretty interesting too, I think. But any cachet finds or anything like that the dog saved your guys' asses?
Not that I remember on that deployment, no.
So as you wrap that deployment up, staying busy, even though the Operation New Dawn transformation isn't really happening. But what was it like for you guys coming home from that in terms of looking forward, of knowing that you're going to be doing multiple more deployments? Was the morale kind of all over the place, or how was it?
No, I think I remember being high.
Yeah.
Everyone was stoked. I mean, we had a good deployment. You know, we were doing DAs every other night, every third night, and doing block parties, you know, hitting house after house after house. So for me, it was a absolutely phenomenal learning experience, a great new guy pump. I enjoyed everything about it. Yeah. And then
did you do any sniper work on that?
Yes. Yeah, I think the story is a little anticlimactic, but it was something super cool, I thought, is we were at the MOI, right? I forget what that stands for, but it was a base where our partner force is out of.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar.
And there were some Army guys there, and an Army guy was on the rooftop smoking and got shot at, or like hit his camis or hit his arm or almost hit his arm. It was something to do with his arm. I think it just like barely grazed him. Well, the shot came from across the river, and that was about, if I remember correctly, right around like 800 or 900 yards away. So it was a hell of a poke. Mm-hmm. So then did some digging and found out that there was a sniper over there, and he was, I forget who he was trained by, but the acronym is FAGS or FAG, right? It's like, I don't know where he came from, but I spent a handful of days on that rooftop looking for him, and you know, doing the whole dummy thing, and seeing if I can't draw any fire or see him. And I never saw him. I don't know if he ever saw me, but that was, you know, sniper on sniper stuff is super cool. Yeah. And I was just fortunate to have that opportunity. Yeah. You know,
what sniper rifle? I mean, I'm assuming you had several, but what were you rolling on that one?
300 Win Mag.
Yeah. Was that your preferred?
I mean, you didn't really need that in Iraq. Everything was just M4s for the most part. But I'd say my favorite one is the 50 cal. But the 300 Win Mag's great also.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild. All right. So any other operations, I guess, from that deployment that were good shit?
Nothing crazy. Yeah.
So you come home, morale's high. What's next? Because you got 6 more deployments, right?
Yeah.
Or 5 more.
So at the time, I forget what it was called, but Team 8, I think it might have been 3 or 1, decided we were going to go to an organic rotation and not fall into the deployment cycle with the other teams anymore, and to, you know, emulate Dam Neck or something of that nature, right?
So how would that work?
So we went from 3 troops to 4 troops, and then just deployed on our own organic schedule. So, and that started in the beginning of 2011, or I guess it started at the end of 2010 when we got home. And my troop was the first one to go back out the door. So we had all our new guys. I think we got rid of all of them but 1 or 2 medics, and brought in a couple of other older guys, and then redeployed. We got home, probably like October is when we typically go home, and then redeployed in March or April.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So when you say move to an organic schedule, do you mean that each team operated independently of the other ones? Like, so there would be multiple platoons and teams deployed at the same time, or what do you?
Correct, but only for 8 and whatever West Coast team did that.
Oh, really?
So
what was the point?
2, 4, and 10. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
You know, it was a one pump wonder at the time. Yeah. So I was just stoked to be able to
go back out quick.
Yeah.
Was there a shift in the type of mission sets you guys were going after or going to be doing?
No.
It seems like a weird thing to do.
Yeah, it lasted
big picture-wise
about 4 years and then went away.
Yeah. So, all right, so you're only home for 6 months?
6, 7 months, yeah.
And then you go back where, to Iraq or Afghanistan?
Afghanistan.
Yeah. And how was that?
Oh, it was great. You know, it was a different mission set than than Iraq, but it's like the Wild West. You know, I loved Afghanistan.
What part of the country were you guys in?
We're in Zabul province, so that'd be, if I'm right, it'd be south east.
Okay. And what was the temperature like operationally there?
It was great. We were with Lithuanians, so I was with the Lithuanians at first, and those guys I can't say enough good things about them. Yeah. The group of guys we were with were very aggressive, very intelligent, and they operated just like we did.
Really?
So you stepped into them seamlessly.
Yeah.
You know?
And you guys did missions together where you go out?
All of them, yep.
Was it integrated in terms of like woven in together? Like,
so there was only 3 of us.
oh, okay.
That went out there. So it was myself, my OIC, then one of my buddies came out to re-enlist and
a tax-free gig.
and stayed for about 2 months.
So, okay, so the 3 of you are basically just jumping in with Lithuanians.
Correct.
And right in the stack intermingled with them?
Mm-hmm.
No shit. I didn't realize that took place, other than I had Drago on, who he went with the Polish
Grom
Grom.
forever.
Like, he disappeared for a fucking year. Like, people didn't even know where the fuck he was at. It was one of the craziest.
I remember he was living in the barracks,
Yeah.
I think he, at one time, was it 618 and 602? 618 is not the one by the grinder, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I think we might have shared a bathroom at one point.
I don't doubt it. Yeah. The guy's story is fucking nuts.
I was not stoked about it. Well, this guy's going to kill me.
Yeah, he's a trip. All right, so you guys jump in with the Lithuanians. I'm assuming you were there for sniper skill set? Or,
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so kind of similarly, like, and I would say especially with being integrated in with them, did they, before you left, was it a, hey, here's why you're going, here's what we're doing, and
Yep.
And what was that?
So we're going to provide them with a sniper and an OIC. That was I don't know where that came from, or I don't know. I think they sent up that request, or it was a historic request that just stayed on the table because I backfilled some guys from I think it was Team 4, 2 guys, and so we went out there, and I went out there just as a sniper.
Yeah. Did was the mission set in terms of what the Lithuanians were doing? Was that defined?
I'm sure it was.
Yeah, but you were just like, yeah, fucking whatever.
Yeah.
What were the types of missions you were doing? Were they all similar, or were they all over the place?
All over the place. A lot of DAs again, and then a lot of sniper overwatches, and yeah, I think those are the main 2 ones: DAs and sniper overwatches. The Pathfinders were there too, which is an army unit, and they were going out a lot. So we just go out whenever we weren't doing anything to support those guys.
Yeah,
in any way we could as well.
Yeah. Did you find that the oversight / rules of engagement were any different for the Lithuanians? Like, were you guys operating under the same guidelines that you were?
So they had different ROEs than we did, and theirs were a little looser. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it was the platoon or the troop that I was there with. They were very tight-knit. The SEA was on his, I think, 11th pump to Afghanistan.
The Lithuanian one?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so they had been there, and they knew the game very well. They knew when to not put up with any bullshit, or and to keep yourself safe. They knew that the Afghanistan game very well.
Yeah. How many of them were there?
If I had to guess, 25.
And so are they, or was that unit organized similarly to a SEAL platoon or troop?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Same shit.
Yeah.
All the same skill sets,
Correct.
snipers, breachers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get into it with any of the guys? Like, did you get along with all of them, or were there any issues?
I got along with all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I love those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. And they all spoke, obviously, enough English for you to...
Not all of them. Like, there's some that didn't speak any English.
Yeah, I'm assuming you don't speak any Lithuanian.
I remember Soprato. That's like Roger that, okay, go. It's a very universal word.
So you just say that, smile, and keep going.
Exactly.
That seems a little dicey, like integrating with dudes where some of them you guys don't speak the same language.
You know exactly what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
And so do they. They're experienced. I mean, they're pros.
Yeah.
And it's as if you and I didn't talk. We had the same occupation.
Yeah.
You just figured it out real quick.
Yeah.
I was in a sniper hide with Red Dog. I don't know this guy's real name. Long red hair, long red beard. And for like 2 days, we spoke zero English, and I spoke zero Lithuanian. And we figured it the fuck out.
Yeah, that's a trip, man. I still would rather be able to communicate to him. Call me old fashioned, but I would like to be able to talk to the dude. So you just like sit there and fucking point and grunt and like, that's wild, man.
Yeah.
Did you get any sniper work on that deployment where I actually took shots?
Yes.
No shit. Mm-hmm. You gotta divulge that shit.
So one time we were coming back, and this happened to us a couple times, coming back from an op, and we go past this particular village, and we get shot. They'd shoot at us. It was hard telling where it came from. And we get back, and the SEA, the Lithuanians, like, all right, we're not doing this anymore. It's getting too dangerous. We're gonna let's go in these guys. So I think we gave it that one period of darkness, maybe, and then we walked in on them. It was about, if I remember right, about 8K. Walked in on them, and we set up 7 sniper hides around this village. And then at the break of dawn, we had guys on KTMs and side-by-sides just come right up the pipe, making all sorts of noise, and we drew these guys out. Mm-hmm. Well, I was in the furthest sniper hide away, and because there's a village over to our right that was IED maker in, so I was primarily, watching everything going on for the ambush, but then also waiting for this guy to come out. And the 3 guys come out. I think there was 3 came out, and right on cue, carrying their PKMs and all their ammo. We just let them get set up on a hill, and then soprato, and happened, and then all hell broke loose. One of the guys somehow, like fucking Houdini, gets out of there. I mean, there's a lot of gunfire going on, and starts running back to the village, and I'm watching him, and I look at Thomas was his name, who was the GFC, and he's like, don't let him get back to the village, because he'll just blend in, and we'll chase him, and we'll never find him, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna let one eat, and I was real far away. I was 2,223 meters away.
Jesus.
And I had my
with the 50 cal.
Yeah, and I had it 0 to 800 yards, because that was typically the average standoff for our sniper hides. And then I'd done some messing around with some calculations before this, and so I had my gun 0 to 800 yards, and I maxed out my turret at 61 minutes, and picked a tree behind this guy and climbed the tree and let one fly. And I was next to the JTAC, Lithuanian JTAC. Oh, sorry. And he sees my bullet splash, and he goes, "You're about 10 meters shy, and like 10 meters or 5 meters to the right, or something of that nature." So I just sent another one. He's 5 meters right in front of him. I'm like, all right, send another one. And he looks at me. He goes, "I think you got him." I'm like, "Well, get the fuck out of here."
No shit.
And then my buddy drives up on a side-by-side, and some guys pull up on KTMs to us, and we're doing a little celebrating up there.
Yeah.
A little premature celebrating. And so I tell my buddy, I'm like, "Hey, go down and park this side-by-side on top of this guy so I can confirm it, this is the same guy, and he's in front of this tree," and so on and so forth. But mind you, I didn't have ear pro in.
Oh, wow.
Because it happened fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And so I'm deaf as shit at this point, and anyway, my buddy drives down the side-by-side, and then, I don't know, 15 minutes later, the GFC walks over to me. He's like, "Hey, good news, bad news." I'm like, "Bad news." He's like, "You didn't hit him." I'm like, "Fuck." He's like, "Good news is Red Dog," the guy I talked about before, took his head off.
Oh,
like,
shit.
So I corralled him down. I scared the shit out of him, I guarantee that.
Yeah.
Corralled him down into this little wadi. Then he popped up, and he was about 400 yards away from another hide.
Yeah.
And looked right at him and
dropped him.
Oh, yeah.
Damn. So he got him with a 400-yard shot?
Yeah, with a 50 cal.
Holy shit.
Took his head completely off.
Yeah, it would vaporize it.
Yeah, there was a skin flap. I never went down and saw the body, but I saw pictures. It was just as if someone took a scalpel from here to like around his eyes and cut off that piece of skin and laid it on his chest.
It was just the skin?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a brutal fucking weapon, no doubt about it.
It's a game changer.
Yeah. I mean, even just the sound and the impact, even if it hits nothing, the psychological value that thing has is significant.
It changes the dynamics of the battlefield when that thing goes off, for sure.
It's like an A-10.
Yeah.
You know, did you guys have any cool close air support drops?
With some Apaches and some Kiowas.
And assuming on that same deployment.
Yeah, correct.
With that, so Lithuanian forces calling in, or were you guys calling in?
So this is actually, Lithuanians have a notoriously long turnover. So I flew up to Kalat, and Team 10 was there, and Team 10 was running the VSO mission at that time. That was their year-long deployment. And went in and met with the SEA there. I said, hey, I'm a free body for the next at least 30 days. I don't want to sit around and do nothing while this turnover happens.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I got a perfect spot for you. And then that was in Bog, so Fob Lane, out at that VSP. And he said, yeah, if you want to go, a helo leaves in like 5 hours or something of that nature. I'm like, okay, well, I'll be back. So took a helo back to our base, which is only about a 5-minute helo ride, and told my OSC, he's like, perfect. Routed it up to my troop commander and got told no. And he said, I got told no because he said it was too dangerous. Well, that was my platoon commander. And then my troop commander's little brother was out at one of these VSPs also, and it immediately crushed it. He's like, negative. Samuel, go. More team guys equals more firepower, or which equals more aggression, which equals more firepower. Happy hunting. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
And then I got back on a helo, went over the other base, and went out to VSP Bog that night.
And in that same time frame, were you guys calling in close air support?
We only did that during a gunfight one time. Yeah, we called in we had like 120s back at the back at our little mud hut at our so we called in those a couple times, but never any fixed wing air support, just rotary wing.
When you guys did use the Apaches, what operation was that?
That was on the 4th of July, and 2011. We're doing a Overwatch, and we've been to this village before, and one of the guys shot a couple guys, and it was just a bad area, loaded with IEDs the whole way there and back. So it took us a while to get there, and but anyway, when we're leaving, start getting shot at from the village when we're leaving, and then right after that happened, that gunfight lasted a little bit, and then we hit an IED. At first, I thought it was an RPG, but it was an IED that went low order, and then as soon as that happened, it just popped off the back wheels of a side by side, and I don't think anybody was injured. I think one guy hurt his wrist when he fell out or something of that nature, but nothing crazy. But then we start taking some small arms fire again, and the guys from the village start flanking us, and then we're getting ICOM chatter. The guys are coming up over the hills. So then it was right around that time when the Apaches checked on station.
And what did they smoke the dude?
Oh yeah, they went over the hilltops. They're shooting on the hilltops, shooting their flares, and it was a 4th of July, so they literally said, "Hey, we're going to put on a show."
Yeah.
So
that's a trip.
Yeah,
man, that's cool. Yeah, I've had a few A-10 Apache pilots on, and man, what a platform! Still quite viable for sure.
It blows my mind. When they like, "Oh yeah, we're 10 miles out. Like we have you on FLIR. We have this. That's pretty impressive." Mm-hmm. The distance that they can use their, I'm sure it's even better now.
Yeah. On that Afghan deployment, was there a gnarliest gunfight that you got into? Were there any total shit storms?
It would have been that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys were taking it pretty hard.
Yeah. So go down in the field to search these guys, and because we're getting ICOM chatter, and I think it's these guys down in this field, so I go search them. And then as soon as I'm done searching them, never found an ICOM. And then they get about 10, 15 yards away from us, and then that's when we get ambushed. And there was about 7 to 10 guys from the village with PKMs, and they were pushing our shit in. It was we were in a pretty much an open field where the rest of the platoon or rest of the guys were on the military crest of the hill there, or the mountain, and so it turned into a hellacious peel right, which I've never heard of anybody actually doing in real life, and I don't suggest it. Like, it was a shitty scenario, but it worked out well. A lot of lessons learned there with Army guys. We had a couple Army guys and a couple guys that were a little shy to shoot weapon systems into the village, just because, ROEs, no one wants to go to jail. It's the only thing fucking people are worried about, unfortunately, is, hey, I don't want to do something that's going to, end up on CNN and I'm going to be on trial, right? So there was no Carl G shot into the mouth of the village. An A-dub finally opened up, but there was a lack of firepower right away that was very frustrating. Then one of the platoon chief and a couple other guys worked their way down to me, and the other guy I was with, then we just peeled right up out of there. So
I guess so. From that standpoint, did any of your guys manage to engage any of them, or did the Apache?
I was engaging with the guys in the village. I think they were probably around 500 yards away or so.
So you guys got a couple of them?
Correct. Yeah. Well, I'm behind my M4, and you know how anticlimactic an M4 sounds, and so I'm like looking at these guys, going to work, and then I hear, I'm like, fuck, that's my gun. And an EOD guy grabbed my gun out of the back of side by side, and it was acing dudes with my 300 Win Mag.
No shit, an EOD guy?
Yeah.
Fucking Christ, dude, what a trip! What a deck!
Oh, he's the greatest guy in the world, but
obviously a good shot.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was 500 yards with 300 Win Mag.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you get any other sniper work on that deployment?
Taking
shots?
No.
How did that deployment end?
Left VSP Bog, went back to Wolverine, and worked with the new Lithuanians for another month or two.
Did they have any dogs?
No. Yeah.
All right, so you wrap that up. You end up coming back home, just the three of you.
Correct. Oh, my one of the guys left about 2 months into it.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 2.5, something like that.
I gotcha.
So my buddy, I told you, he came out and joined us for a couple months while he reenlisted, and he was flying out that day, and we went out with our partner force that day, and I think we're just doing a presence patrol and or helping out the Pathfinders because there's a lot of IEDs out around there. And I think we, on FOB Wolverine is where all the helos were. And I think we took some IDF or something of that nature a couple days before. So we went and did a presence patrol, and we're on our way back, and there's an east and west running road, and we just have to pop over it going north, right? And so I'm out in front in a side-by-side, and our partner force, I think they're Land Cruisers, kind of like Mad Max looking vehicles type deal. And then that was the Lithuanians. Then our partner force, they were in Tacomas. Well, I pop over the road and in the side-by-side and get about 40 yards away from the road, and I'm followed by the partner force Ranger, and it goes over, and as soon as it gets on the road, boom, it goes high order. And the engine block flies way in the air and ends up landing right by his side-by-side, and it's bad. The car's totaled, right? And then so I immediately start looking for who the hell set this IED off, and I don't see anybody. And we had a detainee in the back of that side-by-side also, in the back of that Ranger as well. And I watch him, he goes flying through the air, and then hits the ground like a bag of smashed dicks.
Have you seen one of those hit the ground before?
I've seen a bowl, not a bag. So then we go start rendering aid, right? We secure the area, then start rendering aid to the guys inside the vehicle. Our partner force and the other trucks, they set a perimeter and find this guy hidden down in a ditch and just immediately issue some street justice on his ass. Very well deserved, of course, because it was their buddies that were in this vehicle, right? I think everyone lived. We had a medevac. We were only maybe like 4 kilometers from the base, if that. Medevac to the guys back to base. Our base also is where Dust Off was out of, which is nice. So medevac our guys back there, and then ended up torching the vehicle.
Yeah.
So then afterwards, all this is going on and calling in the medevac and secure the area. And now I forgot about the detainee in the back of the truck. And so I walk over and I give him a little thump, like, oh, he's toast, right? And my OIC walks over and gives him a sternum rub and or flicks his eye or something like that and realize he's alive. And he's like, come on, Sam. I'm like, oh, shit, yeah, let's take care of him. And you're right. I'm wrong, boss. Yeah. And so we had to bring that guy back with us as a detainee, but he was not there cognitively by any means anymore, right?
What injuries had he sustained?
He didn't break anything. I think it was just all head injuries, right? I don't think he even got really burnt. He was secure in the bed of that pickup. Yeah. And when that thing went high order, he flew through the air. Yeah. And so we bring him back to our base, and he's really no longer a threat at all just because he's just not with it. End up flying him back to Kandahar, where the Lithuanian base was, and they gave him some medical aid and I don't think they really knew what to do with him, so they just kept him on the camp.
Really?
And he would just I went back there one time. He just wandering around.
No doubt.
Nothing going on upstairs.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they just cut him loose or they handed him off to the Afghanis or whatever happened.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, with that guy. But so we torched the vehicle. Or I think we blew it up and then torched it because our partner, the Lithuanian breacher guy, he loaded. I mean, he was like he was just waiting for this. Like, I got to bip something, and blew the shit out of it.
A cleanup shot.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
So that was pretty epic.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that was this day that my buddy was flying out, and so he wasn't able to be on that one. But it was very interesting. I don't know if it was. I don't think we ever found out if it was pressure plate and or RC IED. Yeah. But the guy that planned the IED, and we knew it was him because we found HME on his fingers.
Yeah. So, what did you guys do with him? I mean, other than
I'm not too sure who the guy who said
initiator. Did you guys capture him and bring him back? Or?
Yeah, he was around. Our partner force took that.
Yeah.
So it's not wasn't our really deal.
Yeah. I got you.
But he didn't turn out too well.
All right. So you come home, then what?
Reload and end up going to Uganda.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the backstop or backdrop on that?
So working with Damnet guys, training Ugandans to go to Somalia.
And was it your entire platoon or just?
No, there was another 3-4 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and went and met up with some Damnet guys, and it was all sniper training.
Yeah.
For the most part.
And it was all training. You didn't.
Correct.
Yeah. How long was that?
4 months.
4 months.
4 or 5. So that's when deployments went from 6 months to 4 months, but it's really, you have 2 weeks on the front, 2 weeks on the back ish. So they're really about 5-month deployments.
Yeah. So, I assume, spending 4 months doing all sniper shooting and teaching, like that refined your skill set pretty heavy, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And especially having guys from across the street there, picking their brain. It was a great deployment.
Yeah. I can imagine you'd learn a lot. You come home from that, and then what was the follow-on?
So then after that, went to Cameroon. And again, it was another training mission. And we were working with the beer, and
Which is who?
the Cameroon Special Forces, and we were very hopeful that we were going to be able to deploy with them, but they were in their off cycle, but they were deploying to a national forest to going after poachers because they were able to tie the poaching to terrorism. We never went with them, but that was our hopes in going with them. Some Army guys ended up going with them.
Yeah.
After we left.
Was that also sniper heavy?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a 5-ish month.
Yep.
And then you come home from that.
Came home from that,
And are you married at this time?
I got married in 2010.
Oh wow! So you're married for all that.
Yeah.
No kids at the time yet.
Correct.
Yeah.
So then come home, and after that one, go to Mogadishu, but went there with Team 2.
Really?
I did a. I was reenlisting, but then turned it into extending there for a little bit. So I think I was there like 3 months, maybe.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool experience. Battle tracking from the jock on ops for guys in the same AO, because the CO and the CMC were running the whole AO there, and then going out with the Team 2 guys.
Yeah.
And
what were they doing there?
I mean, I guess you keep asking me this question. I never know like the true mission set, right? But I guess I just never really gave a shit.
Yeah, that's surprising to me, and it's not uncommon. I would say it's actually more common that guys are like, I'm just here to do a job.
Yeah,
I think some of it is just the older I get. I mean, because how old are you?
39.
39. I mean, I'm 45, but the older I get, the more I guess pay attention or give a shit to that, because I think when I look at kind of the macro foreign policy debates that we have or talk about, or why we're in the places that we're in, and the reasoning behind it, to me is important. I'm right there with you. I mean, when I was in the teams, it was from the time I was 18 until I was 30, and my operational time was the front half of that. I was a young fucking kid, and kind of similarly, I was like, in Iraq, it's like, we're here to fucking knock Saddam out, but it was, in terms of what we were doing, it was just like, I don't give a fuck, we're doing what we're doing. But
so that hit me my last deployment.
Yeah.
I started like, why are we going here? What are we doing? And what are the chances of actually doing something in Southcom? And just asking a lot of the whys. And I'm glad I never did it before, because you just end up disappointed, and you're left with a what the fuck, So I'm sure maybe it was a little bit more clear early on, but in the latter end of my career, once I started asking those questions, it was never clear above me. So it was I was not pleased with any of the answers, really.
Yeah. All right, so going back to Somalia, I mean, I guess, not so much big picture, but like, what were you guys doing operationally?
Yep. So we were working with the Somalis there, and it was when ISIS had moved into the area, as well as another terrorist group. I'm trying to remember their name. Right, Al-Shabaab.
Al-Shabaab.
Yeah, moved in, and things were starting to get a little interesting. And so it was more of a presence patrols, and then KLEs, but a KLE is just a mask for a presence patrol, essentially.
What does KLE stand for?
Key leader engagement. So we'd go meet with the key leader of this village, and
sounds like a made up thing.
Yeah, it's 100%, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's better when I just never ask questions, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But it was very interesting when we went there, because you see, I'm going to call them towns, but they're deserted, and with buildings and everything like that. But then everyone lives outside of town in a tent, and so I was asking, like, why the hell aren't these people living in these buildings, and they're living in like handmade tents that are horrible. And and I was told Al-Shabaab kicked them out and won't let them live in their houses or anything of that nature, have like run their businesses or anything. And so I found that very very interesting, because I never saw in Iraq, I never saw that. I never saw it in Afghanistan. Of course, you hear about the Taliban putting pressure on the villagers, but I never saw that heavy of an impact on the local populace that a terrorist network could have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you guys actually working with the Somali military forces?
I think it was Ugandans.
Okay. How were they? Like, what was your thoughts on them? Competency?
Kind of Marco 1.0 partner force,
Like not impressive competency.
Correct. Yeah.
What weapon systems were they carrying? Just AKs?
And enforce.
Really?
Yep.
That we gave them?
Yeah.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you come back from Somalia. Then what?
So then went to TRADET. Yeah. And was a land warfare instructor out in Fort Chaffee, Arkansas. So spent a lot of time out there. I think we were there about at least 7 months out of the year, and it was very rewarding. That was probably one of my favorite tours there. Yeah. I really dig small unit tactics. And
and bar fights.
And bar fights. And Razorback games.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun teaching that. And that was before I did my platoon chief. So I was able to see who I wanted to emulate and who I didn't want to emulate. Because you watch the good and you learn more from the bad. Like, okay, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be this type of leader. And you see a good guy come through, and you just pick their brain as much as you can.
Could you put a ballpark number on the amount of platoons that you put through training during TRADET?
Yeah, so I would say I was there for 2 years, and we probably ran like 5 classes a year.
Yeah.
So 10 classes, and at the time there was a lot of super troops, which are 3 platoons.
Oh, really?
So I'd say about 25 platoons.
Yeah. So that's a lot of chiefs to evaluate.
Mm-hmm.
Could you put a percentage on, of those 25 platoon chiefs, how many of them were guys that you were like, that's the kind of chief I want to be?
I remember 2 guys.
Really?
Yeah.
So they were more bad than good?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking depressing.
They weren't bad, but they
not good.
These guys were great.
Yeah.
There was guys that made it through and it went
just
well.
Average.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adequate.
Correct.
Yeah. How many were like legit like that fucking dude's a turd?
I mean, there was
more than there should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's fucking depressing.
Yeah.
I was never in a position where I was putting platoons through training. So, my exposure to chiefs is far less than what you have. But it seems like most of the chiefs back, in the early to mid 2000s, even, into the 07, 08 time frame, were pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm remembering with rose glasses. I don't know, but it just seemed like they were. In that same vein, platoon-wise, if you look at the 25 platoons that you put through, and would you say that if the chief was shitty, the platoon was shitty, or were there?
There was definitely, if the chief was shitty, it was very cliquey.
Yeah.
Right. And then there was always a planned mutiny. Right. And if the platoon chief was really shitty and they knew he was on the chopping block, it just never worked out for the platoon that well, and it's very unfortunate because you have great guys on the platoon and they're led by someone who's just not doing the best job. Right. Yeah. And it's more, I feel like it's more unfortunate for the new guys and the younger guys not getting that great, leadership experience when they first get into the SEAL teams.
Yeah.
Right.
What were your biggest takeaways, however many that there are that come to mind, when you saw the platoon chiefs that you're like, that's the fucking guy I want to be? What were those things?
I would say their decision-making ability, clear and concise over comms, and the respect that their presence demanded based off their knowledge and experience.
Yeah. Was there a pattern in the chiefs that you were like, yeah, that's the dude that physically they were fucking capable also?
Correct. Yeah. Everyone was in decent shape, and because I mean, I saw it before platoon chiefs come through and they're not in good shape and, running through the hills out at Fort Chaffee. It's pretty tasking.
Yeah.
And they're breathing heavy, trying to talk on the radio. Then they're breathing heavy and they make a bad call and it just starts a snowball.
Yeah.
And everyone in their platoon, everyone sees it.
Yeah.
Right? And this guy kind of unraveling. So that doesn't help if you're not in good shape. But,
no, I remember doing IADs in some of those hills with down man drills. Was a motherfucker.
Yeah.
It was no joke. But, I guess that's the reason I asked. Like, my first platoon chief was like the consummate fucking dude. Like physically he was in as good a shape as anybody in any one discipline. He could fucking swim, he could run, he was strong, you name it. He was tough, he could fight. But on the skill set side, like he was, as good as anybody at everything, good on radios. He was super knowledgeable, super aggressive, but was even keeled enough to like, he wasn't a fucking wild card. I mean, he was one of the best chiefs I've ever worked with,
Now, so when you were in, you had your own rate, correct? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So then what was it? Force 21 when SEALs became their own rate?
Well, yeah. So my first platoon, I was an intelligence specialist. Everything after that, I was an SO.
Okay.
So my career was split by that. But.
So I think that has something to do with it. And it's the tenure in the platoon and or in the SEAL team before you become a platoon chief. Because I remember having guys, older guys in my first platoon, they were on their fourth pump. I think some of them maybe on like their fifth pump, and older guys, and not even the platoon chief.
And still E5s.
Yeah, E5s, E6s, yeah right. Yeah. And but then once we went over to our own rate, we got stuck, and this is my version of it, or how I view it. We got stuck in like this process. Like you're a new guy, then you're a one platooner, then you have to go to trade it, then or maybe do a third platoon, come back. So we created our own doctrine, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer if a guy wants to run an ADUB and be an E5, let him run an ADUB and be an E5 for 15 years if he wants, because he's going to be able to operate that weapon system better than anybody else, right?
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree. I mean, it's a strange problem, because if you think about it from the big picture, like, it seems pretty stupid to have the SEAL teams be made up of a bunch of rates that almost none of them have shit to do with what we do. Mm-hmm. Shy of a corpsman and maybe, gunner's mate. I mean, even then, it's really not the same. Mm-hmm. But the uniqueness of that was, it's like you could make rank because you'd get afforded certain points because you weren't in that rate, so they would kind of give you not a pass, but almost like a handicap. And but what was nice
on your advanced exams, you guys got handicaps since you weren't actively in the rate, really?
Yeah. Okay. Like you would get, I don't remember what it was, like a 10-point fucking spread or whatever, something like that. But to me, the most unique thing was that, and the beauty of it that ended up kind of biting us in the ass going away from it, was that you weren't competing against your own guys. Mm-hmm. So it didn't really matter how many E7s there were. Like, there could be fucking, it wasn't top heavy, even if it was top heavy, if that makes sense, because it was in different rates. And so guys would be like, they come in as a gunner's mate, okay, well, Navy wide now there's a fuck ton of gunner's mates. So it's very difficult as a SEAL gunner's mate to compete with other gunner's mates, because they're all doing the things that check all the boxes to make E6, E7. But personnelmen, there's a shortage. So I'm going to change over to personnelmen for the next 6 months, and then they'd make E5, so like and again, what's weird is like, that big picture wise doesn't really make sense to be competing against people in the fleet against a rate that you're not really doing. But on the same token, the beauty of it meant that there could be a lot more higher ranking guys, and it didn't fuck the system up. It didn't fuck other guys over, or you didn't have guys that were fucking each other over or bucking for promotion or doing all these things to make SEAL E7, E8, because it didn't matter, which is, again, it's kind of a weird problem that we put on ourselves.
So people would cross rate in the teams. So would you have to go to another A school?
Yeah, but it was like personnelmen's like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So they like, or, not electrician's mate, that's a longer one, but yeoman, personnelman, fucking, aviation ordnanceman, it's like, you could pick not anything, because there were SEAL source ratings. So there was a pretty big list. So you could pick a lot of different ones. But yeah, you could look and you can be like, oh, okay, well, this rate is wide open. Like there's a shortage. They're doing signing bonuses to get people to come be, aviation ordnancemen. So I'm going to cross over to that. And they do that. And then now they make E5, E6, E7, whatever. But which is weird. It's a weird system. I don't know what the right answer is, because again, I don't think long-term wise, that doesn't really make sense from a knowledge standpoint. Like you should be studying what you're doing and making advancement that way, but maybe just not have it be where you have to check certain boxes. It's like, stop putting an importance on this position or that position. It's like, peer evals and evals and deployments, like there should be maybe a more even-keeled system that supports you making rank and not having caps on the amount of E6s, E7s, E8s, because that was what people ran into before. That was like, well, my rate is totally maxed out. Like they're not making any fucking E7s this year, or not very many, but anyway, off on a tangent.
Yep.
So you go to TradeAt, you're there for a couple of years. After that, you went back to Team 8 and did one more deployment?
Correct. I went back to the Team 8 and then did a deployment there, and then went to Team 4 and did a SOUTHCOM deployment there.
What was the last deployment at Team 8 that you did?
That was Africa as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Before we get into that real quick, one thing I wanted to ask, while you were at TradeAt, did any of the platoons that you put through training go overseas and do epic shit? Or have anything go horribly wrong where you're like, holy fuck, that platoon got something bad happened?
Man, I wish I would have asked you would have asked this question earlier, so I put some thought into it, but not that I remember. Not that I remember. I'm sure some guys, unfortunately, lost their lives later on, down the road, but not that I remember.
You guys didn't get any feedback of like, oh, do you remember Charlie platoon from whatever?
Not that I remember. Yeah.
All right. So the Africa deployment, the last one you did at Team 8, where was that to?
So that was to Somalia.
And was that a similar thing to what you did the one before?
Yeah, I got pulled from that one for some legality reasons, and then went to Group 2. So,
can you share what those reasons were?
I'd rather just not.
Yeah, all right.
It was a bunch of bullshit that I got wrapped up in, and it all went away because it was bullshit.
But,
so went to purgatory for 2 years at Group 2.
Yeah.
Well, all that smoothed over.
And what were you doing at Group 2?
I was working at N8, so I think it's like the acquisition shop. And I had a focus on TGM and our vehicles and all our platforms there.
What is TGM?
Tactical Ground Mobility.
Oh, TGM. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Did you get sent to any cool driving schools or anything, or was it all like logistics stuff?
Mainly logistics.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Morale of a damn funeral home in that place.
I'll bet. Was it all SEALs in there?
Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. All guys in similar shitty spots?
Yeah, for the most part.
So you guys are fucked up. Let's send you over here.
Yeah. So you go purgatory. Let's see what develops.
Yeah.
And then once you're cleared, it's like, oh, hey, we need another platoon chief at Team 4. You're up.
Yeah. So that was your platoon chief, or did you do one?
Yeah, that was my platoon chief, and then did another platoon chief at Team 4.
Okay. So the Team 4 one coming over, how was that? Joining a platoon that you weren't from that team as a chief? Was there a little bit of, I know it happens pretty regularly, but when we had that happen, it was like, well, who the fuck is this guy?
It was very interesting because I came in halfway through workup.
Oh, wow.
And because I just got released from purgatory. And
did they not have one, or did he get fired?
He got fired or stepped down-ish,
Just from not doing the job? Or?
It's something of that nature, yeah. I just don't know the details, but they lost their platoon chief, then they lost their LPO, then they lost their ALPO.
Jesus.
Yeah. So the acting LPO he ended up being the LPO, was just a shooter. Right. I think he was on his third platoon. Mm-hmm. So I come in mid workup, and that was very interesting scenario because you have different cliques, the platoons. OIC, me and the OIC got along really well. Strong OIC, more of an enlisted guy. His demeanor and his interaction with the platoon, so that was good. But it was like a little broken family, a little bit. But everyone wanted direction, so it was great. Everyone wanted to do well and wanted some leadership. So I stepped in, and my approach from that was like first thing I have to do is get these guys out to the bar, right, and then break away individually with them and build rapport because I believe that platoons are built in the bar.
Yeah.
Like you got to go out, you got to get to know your people, you got to show some vulnerability, and just really relate to them, right? Vice if you're just never around them, but at work, it doesn't work as well, right? So started doing that, and then did some train trips. And like I said, I got in late, so I think we did a little land warfare out at out at E Beach there on Little Creek, and then we had VBSS left, MAR ops, in a jump trip out to Arizona, but then I was able to build enough rapport with the guys, and everything went really well.
Yeah. That's good. And if you were to pull any of those enlisted guys aside and say, hey, what do you think of Chief? Good reviews from all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Some of the new guys in that platoon were the best.
Yeah.
One of those guys, we were on a jump trip, and I was a lead jumper, so I jump out first, and so I'm watching the bird, and he jumps out, and I notice a malfunction right away, and he ended up with, very quickly thereafter, he left the plane, he ended up with both parachutes deployed. And we had a brief before this jump on this malfunction, whether it be with a biplane or I forget, they're in front of each other, next to each other. And so they're next to each other, and you never want to let them separate. So boom, they start separating, and he's in this downward spiral. And I'm talking to him over the radio. Everyone did great. We circled the stack back in his direction, but not towards him. No one else came over comms. And I was talking to him, and it's not looking good. He's just spiraling to earth. Well, then somehow, I don't know how he did it or how he did it, he got his parachutes back together, right? And
all in the death spiral?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was, before he went in that death spiral, he was tangled, and so he couldn't reach his comms, and his helmet was caught up, and his arm was caught up. He got untangled, took off his helmet, didn't even ditch his helmet. He hooked it onto the D-ring. And then I yelled, I'm like, next time, just throw your shit on the ground,
Yeah.
And like, we're talking about your life. Who cares about a fucking helmet?
Yeah.
And anyway, gets it back together, and I'm watching him, or then I'm talking to him. I'm like, hey, you're good. Like, we'll follow us in. We'll find an alternate DZ, and we'll get you on the ground, fly both those chutes in. Of course, his helmet's off, so his peltors are hanging. So he's not hearing a word I'm saying, and he cuts one away.
Oh, man.
And cuts his primary away, so he just has his reserve, or cuts his main canopy away, so he just has a reserve, and then makes it back to the DZ. Oh, and it was one of the ballsiest things I've seen. Yeah.
What was the main malfunction?
I forget. It started out as, I want to say, almost a horseshoe.
Okay.
But his foot didn't get tangled in it. Then something happened, and it caused the reserve to deploy also, and they were a ball of fuck for a bit together. Yeah. Then he got them separated, and then that's when he started spiraling and got them back together.
Wow. And so the entire platoon was under canopy kind of watching this happen?
Correct, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a trip. Have you ever had any major malfunctions, close calls?
Never even had a cutaway.
Really?
Yeah.
You still jump at all?
Fuck no.
I'm right there with you.
I mean,
I never enjoyed it. Like,
if one of my daughters wants to go later on in life or something like that, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, I don't even drive fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't agree with you on that one, but the jumping I can for sure. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. You know?
I liked it.
Yeah.
And then it got to where it just didn't do anything for me.
Yeah. To me, I think it's just kind of like with diving. There's so much work associated before and after for that little bit of enjoyment that it's just like, fuck it, man. It's not even worth, I don't know.
What I do like, though, is I love being a lead jumper because that's challenging to get your wind speed, make sure you're going to make the DZ, have your stack right, and then get everyone back to a certain point under canopy in the middle of the night. I think that's very rewarding, that part of it.
Sure.
But the jumping out of the planes part, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. All right. So as a platoon chief, you go to Colombia.
Correct. Yep.
And at this point, you have some idea why you're there, I hope, right?
Yeah.
You're the chief.
Yep.
So what was the sit down of here's where you're going and why you're going there?
So we have a partner force, and they were primarily counter narcotics. However, they were able to tie the narcotics to terrorism. And however, we were never able to go out with them on ops. We got to go to the jock and observe and everything like that, but we never went out with them. They did some cool stuff when they went out.
Can you share any of it?
Yeah, I know. Right before we got there, they lost a couple guys. They tracked the guys down that they were in a gunfight with that shot a couple of those guys, and ambushed them and hammered them all. And it was a pretty very gruesome. Like they just rolled up on them and just killed them. Yeah. And then another time they found another one of the guys and chased him. He was riding a bicycle and they chased him down the middle of the street and did the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely.
Right there in the country.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's something that's kind of hard to imagine, because the equivalent would be our military chasing gangbangers, in the streets of wherever and fucking smoking them, like that's weird. Not weird, but that's hard to.
So that was the main reason we couldn't go out with them. And I forget what title or what law this is, but since they were operating in their own country.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't want foreigners killing their citizens in their country.
Correct.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Did you guys do all training? Like you weren't allowed or able to do any?
Correct. We had one kind of op on the hook, and it was tagging a ship if it came into port.
Okay.
And but unfortunately, it never came into port. Yeah. But we war gamed the shit out of that one. Everything from how are we going to tag this thing? Is it even worth going on bag or diving into it?
Yeah.
Because then we have to bring a chamber over, and there was a chamber there, but it hadn't been certified. So I came up with a couple plans, and most of it was just kind of a pure rat plan. Have two guys come in, pure rat the whole way around, and then tag it. Then another idea was have someone act drunk while all this is going on the pier, cause a ruckus over here while we tag it over here type deal.
Yeah.
But
that's interesting. Can you say where in Colombia you were?
Cartagena.
No shit.
Yeah.
Have you seen Romancing the Stone?
I have, but not in a very long time.
I mean, every time I hear Cartagena, it reminds me of that movie. But I mean, as far as deployments go, being in Cartagena, Colombia seems like not a bad place to be deployed.
I mean,
if you're not going to war,
it was not bad. I mean, our living condition during the week was pretty rough, flooding and bats and just third worldish, our barracks. But then on the weekends, we got to go stay at this it was a legit 5-star resort in Cartagena, and on anybody's star standards, swim up, pool bar, like it was glorious. My wife got pissed at me. She's like, just quit, because it's this is November, right? She's like, just quit fucking sending me pictures.
Yeah,
I'm sick of looking you in your fedora hat at the pool and a cocktail.
That's a trip, man. What a good deal.
Yeah.
I think those trips, while they may not be the big mish, I think they're good and they're important, and not even from a, we'll call it the handshake, nationality to nationality wise. I mean, that is important, but I just think, the op tempo for guys, like getting those good deal trips, even if it's something like a dive trip to Key West or there was way more of that when I first came in than there, I think, is now and have been for a while. I get the wanting to save money and whatever, but Christ, I mean, with the money they spend on other shit, government and military wise, I don't think it's a bad deal to send your soft guys to good deal training trips. But
I agree. And in between that pump from 2010 to 2011, me and my buddy, we went to Lithuania to meet up with these guys that we're about to deploy with. So we missed quite a bit of it. But I know they went to Key West, like a little good deals for good SEALs deal, and they did jumping, MAROPS, diving, and something else, all in Key West. So they're in Key West for like 8 weeks.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have made it through that one, but
yeah. No, I think, like I said, I think that's good, but man, that's awesome. All right. So you're there for 5-6 months?
correct. Yeah, 6 months.
Yeah. Anything crazy happen while you were there? Any Liberty incidents?
No.
You guys stayed between the lines in Colombia for 5-6 months? That's impressive.
Yeah, we our predecessors got into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
So the first guy I meet there, I think he was he worked for the embassy. No, he was an NCIS guy, and which I fucking hate.
Yeah. So he was like, "Listen, fuckers."
Oh yeah, he's like, "We're watching you everywhere. We have people around the city. Like, these are the rules." And he knew that I did not like him right away.
Yeah.
And he wanted to sign all sorts of paperwork, never signed anything, and then just never answered his phone calls again.
Yeah.
But he tried the old scare straight tactics with us when we first got there. But I had a really good group of guys, and everyone kept their nose clean.
Yeah, that's good. So you come home from that. Now you've done your platoon chief. How much longer were you on active duty from that point?
Another 2 years.
2 years.
So I spent the last 2 years at ATC at Fort Story, Advanced Training Command.
Yeah.
And I was in ops there.
Okay. The last 2 years that you spent at advanced training, what was that like?
It was great, just because I was in ops. There was a point there that I was SEL because we were in between Master Chief, so I filled that role for a bit. But it wasn't that tasking at all, because everyone that runs each cell was super squared away.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of them were senior to me, and ran real good programs. Anything, I was just a middleman that put out some fires, which was fairly easy to do.
Yeah.
And because our parent command is on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So we were away from the flagpole, and that was nice.
Were you actually putting platoons through training, or was it more?
I was not. I was in ops. It would be part of pro dev for professional development. So it wasn't platoons; it was individuals.
Yeah.
So individuals that were going to comm school, sniper school, breacher school, so on and so forth.
And did you have the intent of retiring from there?
Yes.
And at that point, as far as where outsider comes in, was that something that you had thought about, idea? Like, what was your plan for once you retired? Like, was that part of it, or was it something different?
So it was something different initially. One of my dear friends, gentleman by the name of John Hughes, he lives in South Texas. Him and I became friends through Morgan Luttrell.
Okay.
He was our mutual friend. Morgan and I went hunting with John probably about 10 years ago now. And he became one of my mentors. And he's done extremely well for himself in the excavating world and in the oil field.
Yeah.
And we were actually fishing together maybe 4 years ago now. And when we got done fishing, we went down to a little local watering hole, and he looked at me and goes, "You know what, Sam? I don't think you should ever work for anybody ever again." And that was
sold.
Well, it was a mind-blowing statement, because I was, in my mind, I'm like, well, I guess I'll just carry a gun for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Go to ground branch or do whatever, everyone else does. Something, right? And then I'm like, well, what the hell would I do? He's like, well, you want to move to Texas? I said, yeah. He's like, want to be a millionaire? I said, yeah. And he's like, well, start a concrete company, an electrician company, HVAC company, or a plumbing company. And I'm like, well, I think I can do concrete, right? How hard could that be? So went back to Virginia Beach and actually started a concrete company. And but first I found a guy with a good reputation that does concrete in Virginia Beach. And I gave him a call and I said, hey, I want to come, do concrete for you. He's like, well, we're not hiring. I'm like, well, you don't have to pay me. I just want to show up and do it and learn. So I did a few driveways with him, and, halfway through the first driveway, like, well, this isn't rocket surgery, right?
Yeah.
And it pays really well. It's just hard work. And the only thing I didn't grasp right away is the framing, and using the lasers and things of that nature. But got a hold of that on pretty much our second driveway. So that was my goal.
Yeah.
And my wife and I actually went to San Antonio and were looked for houses around Bernie, San Antonio, like that whole area. And that was our plan. And because my buddy John knew a bunch of builders, he's like, get down here, get yourself a good crew, and I'll introduce you to builders, and you'll be off and running.
Yeah.
Well, then, so that was my plan. And then I made a decision I'm never going to work for anybody else again, and I'll just, figure life out. I'll start a company after company until I find my niche. And then around that time frame, Jay and I went hunting together, my business partner, Jay Cutler.
The quarterback, Jay Cutler.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And
how did you meet him?
So one of my good friends was the tight end coach for the Bears in 2000 and from about 2009 to maybe 2012, 13-ish. His name's Frank Smith. He's the offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins right now.
Oh, okay.
So him and I became friends on a golf course. Someone in my platoon was married to like his sister or something of that nature, and paired him and I up. And because my buddy's like, hey, you're really going to like this guy. And we're bullshitting, having a couple of beers, first couple of holes. And I asked him what he does. He's like, oh, I'm a football coach. And then I'm like, all right, cool. And then a couple of holes later, I'm like, so do you teach also? Or like, he's like, no, I'm a football coach. I'm like, for who? And he's like, the Chicago Bears. I'm like, well, no shit, I'm a Bears fan. I'm like, so you're a football coach,
yeah.
And so him and I become friends. And when I got home from Afghanistan, he said, hey, I'd love to have you out for a game, and you come to the team dinner the night before, and if you don't mind talking to the tight ends and let them pick your brain, talked about leadership or anything like that, because I've told them all about you, and they'd like to meet you. I said, absolutely. So flew up to Chicago and met up with them, and met John Fox, was the coach at the time.
Yeah.
John, John Fox is...
his dad was a team guy, right?
Yeah. So I had no clue.
Yeah.
And my buddy Frank's like, oh, Foxy wants to meet you. I said, yeah, right. Yeah. And he came in, he's like, oh, so you're from Virginia Beach, you're in the team. My dad was a plank owner at 2. And I had no clue. And so it was the coolest thing there.
Yeah.
So anyway, after dinner, we go to a conference room, the tight ends come in, then the quarterbacks came in, and the kickers came in also.
Yeah.
And so we just have a round table for about an hour or so. And then afterwards, I'm like, well, I'm going to give everyone my number. And if you ever want to bullshit about anything, please, hit me up. I mean, the worst thing's going to happen, I'm going to accidentally send you a dick pic. Yeah. Right?
Accidentally.
Yeah.
Air quotes on accidentally.
For sure. Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Two people text me after that, and it was Jay and a tight end by the name of Zach Miller. And the three of us are still great friends to this day.
Oh.
And so Jay and I kept in contact over the years and just talking about hunting. He's an avid hunter and outdoorsman, so that's all we would talk about. And then we got close. I think it was that one of my deployments, he was going through some stuff, and so we were texting a lot, just about nothing, besides hunting. Yeah. And then he's like, all right, let's plan a hunting trip when you get back from deployment. So I got back from deployment, and he has a farm up in Kentucky. And so I was still living in Virginia Beach, flew into Nashville. He picked me up, and we were hunting. And at the time, Outsider was a social media lifestyle brand owned by Jay and a gentleman by the name of Shannon Terry. And their main goal was the written word, ad revenue, and all of that. At the same time, they started developing products, and the product that were in its infant stages at the time is the drinkware that we have here, and some clothing. Well, Shannon had a non-compete because before Outsider, he owned a company called 24/7 Sports, and he sold that to CBS, I believe. Well, his non-compete ended last year, so Jay took over Outsider, and Shannon now has a company called On3, and they do NAI for college athletes. Great company. Shannon's a great guy, and so they're booming. And Jay took Outsider, and when that happened, Jay brought me on, and so now we're an outdoor lifestyle brand with high quality products, and our main product right now is our drinkware.
Yeah.
And
so how did it go from you're going to do concrete, you're looking at places in San Antonio, like where did that go bad or did
No, it all went well. So we're hunting in Kentucky, and talking about Outsider, and Jay's like, what do you have going on? I told him about the concrete business, and then over the course of that 3 or 4 days, he's like, you know what, come over to Outsider. Like we'll figure something out. At the time, we were about to start a prototype cooler, and I think it was like, hey, how about you run the cooler and the products, and there'll be some sweat equity involved, and you run that part of the company. And I thought to myself, shit, I can digest this, right? This is right up my alley. I'm a products guy. I'm not a gear guy. I like drinkware. I like coolers, backpacks, things of that nature. So then it got serious, and I told him, like, hey, if like this is something that's going to happen, I'll move my family down here. I'll go all in. And he said, okay, let's do it. So I burned the ships, moved to Nashville. An internal acquisition happened, and Jay bought the company and brought me on, and as part owner and CEO.
No shit.
Yeah.
The guy that said, I don't want you to work anymore, are you still cool with him?
Oh, we're great friends. Yeah. He is actually now owns some of Outsider.
Oh, okay.
So he invested.
Yeah. So it was all good. It wasn't like things went south.
Oh, no, I talk to him every day.
Yeah.
I love the guy.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So as far as the products go, I mean, I'm right there with you. Like I love all that kind of stuff too. What's the current lineup versus like what all are you guys bringing to market soon?
Yep. So our current lineup is the drinkware here, and this is our AM. So this is our top seller. It's a 17-ounce coffee mug, stainless, 3 or 4 stainless steel, 0.6 millimeter vacuum sealed, and we have a non-slip bottom. But the sexy thing about this one is the handle turns, so you could put it in your cup holder of your pickup truck, right? So, and we're
because most of them it never fucking works.
Correct.
Yeah, that's cool.
Patenting that, so it's patent pending right now. And then we have so this is the AM. Our naming convention is AM, PM, and all day. So the all day is our water bottle, and it's a 26-ounce water bottle with a chug spout, and it works extremely well.
Yeah.
We just did a deal with Tractor Supply, and the buyer there at Tractor Supply, one thing that sold her is I gave her some, and her daughter runs track, and she said this is the only water bottle that her daughter will use because it's the only water bottle that keeps ice when she sits it on a pavement during track practice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I love what you're doing. I mean, the entrepreneur thing is huge, I think, for a lot of veterans. I know myself included. Can you talk about, to the guys out there listening that want to do that or are thinking about doing that, or, any of the kind of lessons learned or struggles that you overcame in that transition period from getting out of the military into being part of your own company?
It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
The ups and downs at first were extreme high and extreme lows.
Yeah.
And now they're starting to just
level out.
I take the good with the bad. And that's part of entrepreneurship and a startup and an early company. But it's not something you can half-ass.
Yeah.
You can't I'm going to start a company and then just work when it's convenient, right? Because no one's going to care about your company more than you.
Yeah.
And you have to, for me personally, I had to put my, back against the wall and moved out of my comfort zone from Virginia Beach, moved down to Nashville, and housing prices down there are real high, down in Franklin. So I have to perform, and I personally love it because all your hard work, you see the result right away. The harder you work, the I'm not going to say the better you're going to be, but typically it goes in that direction.
Yeah, it's
right?
tangible. It's face value.
Yeah.
You can see the fruits of your labor right then and there, kind of thing.
Correct. And of course, the ultimate goal is to run this company up for it's worth a lot of money and then sell it, and support the family and everything. But entrepreneurship, I think the SEAL team breeds entrepreneurs.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think it's a good pool to pick out of, for guys that want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look at the guys that are successful from the beginning of the pipeline, the student that makes it through SEAL training, you have to be a self-starter. Like, you've got to be the type of guy that doesn't really even ask very many questions, that you just find the answer to whatever questions you have. Not a like, hey, what's the, it's like, no, I'll find out, I'll figure it out, whatever. And to me, that's, in talking with some of even the SEAL recruiters, like one of the biggest predictors of guys from the pools of civilian kids that come and say, hey, I want to be a SEAL, the initial interaction, like the kid that shows up and says, here's my PST score, I have this, like he already knows what he needs before he even goes and talks to the guy. Like that by itself was like the single biggest predictor of whether or not guys would make it through training. Like the kid that shows up and says, hey, I want to be a SEAL, what do I need to do? Like, you might as well just fucking leave.
Really?
Like, it's that big of a deal. Like, that self-starter doesn't need to be told, like, we'll because especially at this point, like, the internet has so much fucking information on it. Like, if you show up and you haven't already done the legwork to know what you need to know, it's like you're not the right guy, and I think, if you look at the success rate, especially having been an instructor, it was pretty neat to see behind that curtain and get a look at the guys who make it versus not, and what you think when you first come in as an instructor of the predictors versus what the guys that actually show up, it's different.
So I was always curious, because I remember being able to do it in like third phase in SQT. When a new class shows up, you can just look at guys, and I bet you can hit about 50 to 70% accuracy just looking at a guy in the eyes,
Yeah, I will say yes, but there's a caveat to that in that it's not, at first glance. It's more of the vibe that you get from them, the energy and presence that you get from somebody, more so than it is what they look like.
Correct. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Because, if you just go off of like the physical Adonis versus the slightly overweight country bumpkin, uncoordinated, dopey fucker, like there's way too many of those guys that graduate and way too many, Division I college athletes that hang it up to use that as a predictor for sure.
But to answer your question, or to segue into from what you were saying to self-starters, I found myself, I don't know what I don't know, but then I find myself in a position where I have to know something. And you're right, the internet has everything. I'll stay up late, teaching myself off multiple YouTube videos how to, do just about anything.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. I mean, the resources that are in your pocket at any given time are mind-bending. So are you guys planning on adding coolers and more products? So are those the three products you have now?
Those are three staple products right now. We have apparel. I'm working on a whole suite of drinkware.
Yeah.
And backpack cooler.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's cool.
Our PM, I'm doing a new version of the PM, and I'm just going to hold off on saying anything about that till it comes out.
I got you.
But it's super sexy. So our PM right now, it holds any can and or bottle. There's a little indent in there that stops your beer can from going all the way to the bottom, but allows a slim can like a High Noon or a Seltzer to go through.
Oh, nice.
And has a can opener on the bottom.
Oh, cool.
Our backpack cooler.
That's awesome.
I'm working on a backpack cooler with an emphasis on comfortability and our pouches, internal pouches, are very unique. And then our whole suite of drinkware. Then all our products are I'm gonna call it like a package deal. If you go boating, if you go camping, if you go hiking, so we're developing a nice blanket, towels. I have sunglasses in the works, but I don't know if I'll go down that road. But that's ready to hit the button on. I just don't want to spread myself thin.
Yeah.
I like laser focusing on a couple items.
Yeah.
And they're working for us right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the revenue stream aspect is an easy trick to fall for, you know, of trying to have as many as possible. But, you know, you should only have the one, you know, as many that you can go full bore on and be good at. It's easy to half-ass too many things for sure. Here's maybe a silly or trick question. Have you ever microwaved these?
I have not, but it's 3 or 4 stainless steel, so I don't think that would go well.
I think you should try it. You know,
In your microwave.
I'll do it. I'll not my built-in one. I'll buy a shitty fucking plug-in one. You can fucking blow it up here if it will. Some thicker metals I've seen fucking microwaved and nothing happens.
I mean, now I have to try it. So I'll have my wife pick up a microwave at a garage sale.
All right.
Yeah.
Be curious to see because, I mean, I like some microwaves have metal racks in them. I think it's a thickness thing. I may be talking completely out my, not maybe, I am talking out my ass, but I don't know. I'm curious. Well, man, I tell you, it's awesome to see, you know, a 20-year career with a lot of different elements of experience, and then transitioning out and starting your own thing and the way things line up to where, you know, you're doing the outsider company and, you know, they're high quality products. It's stuff that I would absolutely own, and I love everything that you have going on. Just outsider.com, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Right, outsider.com, and you can find us on Instagram at outsiderig, and on our website you can, for example, if you want to order 40 of them with your laser etched custom logo, we could do all that. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Are you guys on Amazon yet or no?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other purveyors?
No.
Well, good stuff, man. Well, I appreciate you coming and sharing your story and bringing the gifts. I have something for you as well here.
Damn.
I don't suppose you have a Team 4 coin, do you?
Appreciate you. Not with me. I can get you one.
Yeah, I don't think I have one.
Yeah, let me get you one.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, so now that you're in the Nashville area, you can throw your shit kickers on, and this is John Johnston. And
I'm all hat, no cattle.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever it takes.
Hell yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
is epic.
Yeah, John Johnson and Champion Choice Silver out in California are big supporters of the show and provide all the guests those swag items. So, thank you again for coming, sharing your story. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah. Go to outsider.com, check out the products, supporting a veteran-owned company and great products to boot. Hope you enjoyed Sam's story. If you didn't, feel free to choke yourself. And until next time, this is Mic Drop.